Hi, and welcome to Misty Mountain Reads. Today we are outside in my driveway to talk about books, specifically the books that I read in the month of June. And I'm really excited to talk to you about these. I'm always excited to talk about books because I'm that person. But I'm specifically excited to talk to you about these because I had some really great reads this month and some really not so great reads. I also have learned about myself this month that I tend to rate books based off of the emotions that they make me feel and not so much the writing style. Now, writing style 100% does play into how I review a book and how I rate a book, because I think it also plays into how well emotions come across or how deeply you feel emotions. Well-written books tend to be better at that. However, I think that I tend to rate books higher, even if the prose isn't great, if I felt deeply. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad emotions like heartbreak or sadness or grief or joy and laughter and that kind of thing. Doesn't really depend on what kind of emotion, but how deeply I felt it, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling now, but I'm really excited to talk to you about these things, so let's get into it. Aru Shah and the End of Time by Vrishani Chakshi. I'm really sorry if I'm mispronouncing that last name. I got that far, and then I gave up on this one. So I'm not going to give this a star rating because I didn't finish it. And the reason I didn't finish it was because I was so lost. I was so lost. The characters are surface level. I did not have a connection to any of them. There was many plot holes, in my opinion, and it was incredibly fast-paced. This was copy and paste Percy Jackson with Hinduism. That's the story for you. If you want to know what this is about, imagine Percy Jackson, but substitute Hindu gods. And there you go. There you go. You got the story. Point of no return for me was a single sentence, which I'm going to share with you because I found out was kind of funny, but also it's what made me think, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. So this is a sentence that is describing the two main characters falling into a pit of sorts. It was like a long water slide without the water. And when I read that sentence, in my brain I went, wouldn't that just be a slide? Well, a water slide without water, is that not just a slide? There's a lot of sentences like that, a lot of descriptions like that in this book. So that's why I gave up on it. For now, I might come back to it, but I decided that I needed to take a break and try something else. The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. This is book 2 in the Wheel of Time series. This is a thick boy that made me bored. I'm going to be real honest. This book made me frustrated and bored because I was so lost, and the descriptions, oh my. Good Lord, how many ways can you describe the inside of a tavern? You could have made the book this long and it would have been just as good. Because we would have taken all those needless descriptions. Also, Robert Jordan, why in the world do you want to leave us in the dark about important information that gives historical context to what is happening? Why? That's why I was so frustrated, because there's a lot going on here behind the scenes that has historical context. There is a dog barking very angrily, and I'm sorry. I'm going to keep talking. I did not give up on this book because it does pick up in the end. It does pick up. You have to get page 460 before it does. But I read the last third of the book in one sitting. It was like 280 pages that I read in one sitting. So, if you can get there, it does get better. But there's 12 more books in this series that I haven't read, and I don't know if I'm going to get to them. Somebody please in the comments tell me that this series gets better, because I'm starting to lose hope. Because I want information about what the heck is going on. And also, one last point. If you've read Lord of the Rings, this is going to read a lot like fan fiction, with more female characters. I appreciated that. There's strong female characters that I do like, but it's essentially very detailed Lord of the Rings fan fiction. I think maybe we'll see where it goes. Okay, forgot to say that I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I almost gave it 2, but the ending, I will say, because I read it in one sitting, those last almost 300 pages, I had to give it an extra star for that because it picked up so much. All right, the Mirror Visitor series. Hard words for my mouth to say, by Christelle Dabos. She's French. I'm not great with pronouncing French words. Oh, what a terrible time in my life when I took French. It was absolutely miserable. My professor hated me. Anyway, this starts with A Winter's Promise, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars because it has my favorite main character from this year. She's an introvert, and I deeply related to her in many ways. This was presented to me as a lovers to enemies, enemies to lovers. Why don't we do lovers to enemies though? Anyway, this was presented to me as enemies to lovers. It's not. It's not. It's just not. Okay, they end the book and they're still enemies. So if you're looking for enemies to lovers, I got a recommendation for you, but it's not this one. This book is whimsical and strange and dark and mysterious. There is a trust no one trope in this, and really trust no one except for the main character. I really, really enjoyed the world. I enjoyed the main character. But then we go on to book 2, The Missing of Claire de Lune, and I started to get lost in the world because it is whimsical and strange, and the author describes things very well in this book, the first one, A Winter's Promise, but in this one we expand the world and we get a bigger view of what's going on, and it starts to get confusing. Winter's Promise is mostly set in very few locations. Like you're either in 1 or 2, 3 settings. This one is all over the place. You're moving around a lot. And that was nice to see a larger world. Not so much to be to be confused about where the heck they are and what does this room look like, because the actual physical description of the rooms and the locations that the plot is happening in play a significant part in what is happening. And so I was lost because I was like, wait, weren't they over there? But how did they get over here? And how does that... So confused. The ending also was like, what? But I appreciated the foreshadowing that it got us there. So there's that. I gave this one 4 out of 5. This one, Memory of Babel, I gave 3 out of 5 because it gets even more confusing. And this one could have been half the size that it is. I think she might have been trying to reach word count. I don't know. There was a lot of extra stuff in this that just played absolutely no point into the plot. This one just didn't have the same whimsical vibe. This one was more laborious to get through. So, am I going to read the 4th book when it is translated into English? Absolutely, 100% yes. Because the ending of this one did get pretty wild. But you had to get there. I'm disappointed that they declined in quality for me. But I would recommend them because the first one was really good. But yeah, okay. I'm just gonna say I recommend them, and you can decide for yourself. All right. Feel like June was my month of slow reads until I got to The Bridge Kingdom and The Traitor Queen. Now, these are a duology. I think there is a 3rd book that has come out or is about to come out that is not the same main characters but set in the same world. This is a true enemies to lovers. This is my enemies to lovers recommendation. The world in this is really interesting. I really loved the world. I felt like it was an immersive story. It was fast-paced, but not too fast-paced. I definitely believed that the main character was powerful. She's an assassin. And unlike other stories I've read with assassins, she is not perfect, which I loved, because one of the things that gets on my nerves is when you read a character that is absolutely perfect. They have no flaws. They're always successful. They never make any mistakes, and if they do, they're like, oh yeah, I planned that, and now I have this backup that comes in to save the day at the end. Yeah, that's not realistic to me. She is flawed, and I appreciated that. The characters, even the side characters, were unique, had their own personality, I was able to tell who was talking simply by their dialogue. I didn't need the tags to tell me, oh, this is this person talking and then this person talking, because they all had their distinct voice, which I appreciated. These books reminded me that it's okay just to read for enjoyment. It's okay to read something that has not much depth to it. They're not super deep thinking books. That's perfectly fine. I really needed that in my life when I got to these, especially after reading The Great Hunt. Oh my gosh, I needed something that was easy and light and fun, and these were all of that. I gave The Bridge Kingdom 5 out of 5. I gave The Traitor Queen 4 out of 5, simply because the setting was not as well described in The Traitor Queen. And there's a lot of things going on in that one that needed a little bit more description or a little bit more plot development to be more believable. But as a whole, loved it. I had some difficult reads this month, but I also had some great reads this month, and I felt challenged as a reader. I also felt like I was having fun, especially with these two. I think these are my top recommendation, followed by A Winter's Promise in the Merit Visitor series. Like I said, that series does not necessarily get better with each book, but that was my personal opinion. You may find that you like the other books in that series just as much, if not more, than the first one, so give it a try. I like to give recommendations based off of people's interests, because I know what I like may not necessarily be what someone else likes, so I never want to say you should not read this book unless there's something overtly wrong with it, like it's racist, or there's themes in it that just should not handled well, that kind of thing. I think all of these I would recommend to the right person. If that makes sense? So check them out. Okay. I think I'm done rambling now, and I am very, very thirsty. All right. See you next time.